Welcome to Nerdities. Bitches.
Hello, mighty listeners and viewers. No topic too absurd, no statement too asinine, no question too interesting. That's right, it's a Nerdities interview show. I, as ever, am Mike, joined, as usual, by...
Justin.
We also have a...
Kyle.
As well as...
A Joe.
Our guest this week is a man named Nick Edwards, pimpin' his stories, Stiletto and Gator Man, I do believe. We're kind of on the fly with this when we don't have a lot of information, so we're going to get it directly from the horse's mouth. Nick, can you please lay out your wares?
Totally can lay out my wares. Thanks very much. I thought I was going to have to say my name in time as well with all of y'all, so I was ready, but you introed.
I'm not going to force that on you. We have our own little timing.
No, that was great. That was awesome to witness in real time. That was very cool. No, thanks for having me, guys. Super excited to be here. So yeah, our new book right now. So I am half of a creative team. Me and my creative partner Scott Beecher. We run our own independent comics label out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas called Unearthly Comics. And our new book, you were very close. It's actually called Stilletos, plural. So there's a second S on there as well. So yeah, that's our new book, Stilletos. It is it's the two of us. I wrote it, and my buddy Scott did all the art for it, and it looks really awesome. It is we're looking at about 90 pages, black and white revenge thriller comic, and the quick pitch is Showgirls meets The Most Dangerous Game. And it focuses on two dancers, and really one is kind of our protagonist. Her name is Jenna. Jenna's having a tough time in life. She just found out she was pregnant. Her boyfriend just kicked her out. She's crashing on her best friend Tanisha's couch. Tanisha's also a dancer. And the two of them get roped into dancing at this very high-end, luxurious bachelor party that's being held at this very remote mountain estate. And they quickly learn that things at this bachelor party are much more sinister than they initially appear. So they've got to rely on their wits and tenacity in order to survive and make it home in one piece. And, will they or won't they? We don't know. But yeah, it was cool to write the script. I wrote the script a couple years ago and was pretty excited about it. And Scott has been doing a really awesome job with the art. And I'm just really excited to finally see it become a real thing.
So you said it's a 90-pager. Would that be so far, because you never know with future, a self-contained 90-pager, or is like the first chapter?
Definitely envisioned this from the start of this project as a self-contained series. We originally viewed it as a 3-issue miniseries, and that kind of just turned into one standalone graphic novel. And so that's what we're looking at. But yeah, beginning, middle, and end with this story is the goal.
Quite often the smart way to do it. Myself, Justin, and Kyle are also comic creators. We haven't been as prolific as we should. A while back, Justin and I came up with a concept, and we roped Kyle in to help us keep it on track. We all live fairly close together. Those two live a lot closer than I do, but it's a short jump for me. And as far as creating goes, distance is always a big question. We've talked to a handful of people where they're halfway across the country, or some people are in the next town over. How close are you to your artist?
So I am originally from Dallas, Texas, and so I met, and Scott lived out closer to Fort Worth. So for a while, we were only about like an hour apart. We could meet in the middle, take about 30 minutes. But I actually just moved to New York last year. So now I am, increased that distance by just a little bit, but we still work great together. I was actually back in Texas just a couple weeks ago. Scott and I did a couple conventions together, so it was great to see him and a bunch of hang time. So that was really good.
Do you have to use stuff like this or Skype or Messenger or whatever often? Is it an email situation, or do you guys lay out the framework initially and you just let him go?
Oh, no. It's, we Scott and I at this point, we've become it's pretty close, and so we actually have usually a standing call on Fridays most weeks. So we just hop on the phone. We'll talk about, like, how the book's going, how the art's going, all that. But then we also just like to geek out, talk about, what movies we were just watching, what we're reading, just, all the good stuff. So I'm really fortunate in that this is the second book that I've done with Scott, but he's become much more of a close friend, and our relationship just kind of naturally turned into that. So very fortunate there.
Okay. So, primarily two protagonists in this thing.
Pretty cool shirt you got.
Yeah.
Where to go? Because it's always interesting to me when especially as a guy writing for women, do you find yourself you find like you don't have the right tone? We only have a handful of women in our books, and we focus on the men. I know that sounds kind of ignorant, but it's just like an accurate thing to do.
Hey, now you write what you know, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That's very natural. No, it is tricky. Scott and I, we had a woman protagonist in our first graphic novel too, Gatorman Kills, and so this is 2 for 2. No real conscious reason, but I don't know. It didn't find too much of a challenge. I think. I hope, because you can always tell when somebody's like being a phony about it, like writing some character that they don't understand. But I think we did an okay job with their voices. But I guess the readers are going to be the ultimate judge of that.
Based on that elevator pitch, I'm guessing kind of a mature, hard R kind of situation.
Yeah. Not for kids, I would think. Stilettos is not for the children. We'll just maybe play it safe and say that. But yeah, no, we've got your violence. We've got your, adult sexual situations. We've got some drug use. We've got some language. I did have one person specifically asked me what the cussing situation was like in the book, after we had like talked about the graphic violence and the fact that it's a story about sex workers and everything. And so it was sort of funny to clarify that point. Like, yes, there is adult language in this book as well.
Yeah, I felt kind of silly asking that, but you never know. Some people might make a story about murder and sex workers and try and figure out a way to make it PG-13. It's a very Hollywood mindset. Yeah, we can take all this adult stuff and jam it into something where we only get to say one fuck. And that's right, we say fuck right. A lot on here.
I PG-13 horror movies are very rarely hit the mark for me. And I'm even trying to think of like one right now that like I really love, but yeah, and somebody once told me that like real life is rated R too. Like real life, people cuss, people, there's violence, there's sex, there's drugs, there's all of it, and so that's kind of how I like to write. I've thought about writing like a kid's story or something like that. Like I wouldn't be opposed to that. That'd be, depending on the story, could be kind of cool. But so far, anyway, it's been pretty R-rated.
Yeah, we have one issue of a kid's comic book that we created, and it's really a super duper cutesy to write for it. And you get that little kid like, oh, we could do pretty much anything and just be kind of silly. And hopefully you're helping a kid learn something, but there's not much weight to it. You don't feel like you're breaking any new ground.
Yeah, Very Hungry Caterpillar didn't win a Pulitzer, but it's still a really good fucking book. So, it doesn't have to. They're not all going to be, book of the year, but that's all right.
I think writing the children's stuff is a bit of a challenge for us because being from Jersey, and from an Irish/Portuguese family, tempers flare and words fly.
Yeah.
So when we have to do a kid's book, it's a challenge. We have to keep it clean.
It's kind of hard for me at least. I don't have any kids. Neither does Joe. The other ones have youngins. It's kind of hard to me to open up emotionally at all, even in the written word. So yeah, that one was odd in that respect. But for our comic book, which is it's horror and it's action, I had no problem thinking up different, interesting, bloody ways. And we don't do a lot of sex, but there's some innuendo.
Hey, that's all right. It seems like we've got a crowd of like minds here. That's cool.
Pretty good.
So Nick, what exactly drew you to this story? Like, because I know when we start, there's always just like there's that little ember, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, so I just. So okay, I went to back in college. I remember there was this group of guys that I knew, and I remember there was this one night where like everybody got together and watched American Psycho, and then like
that's a really good litmus test to know what the people in the room are like.
Yeah, for sure. And well, even better litmus test was like kind of a little bit after that, a whole like subset of these guys started slicking their hair back, like Patrick Bateman.
Ooh,
and it's like not the lesson that we should be taking from this, guys. I don't know if his behavior should necessarily be emulated, and so that there was always that little knowledge of, and then like anybody with like any sort of woman in their life, whether that's girlfriend, sister, like friend, close friend, like anybody like that, like you've heard stories about like guys being creepy, and like even if you don't, I mean, like it's kind of tough to avoid that. And so like that has always been like spinning around in my head of like that there would be a fun horror story to tell, like based in that sort of seed, I guess. And then, I also knew I wanted to write some characters that people could root for and people could hopefully relate to, in the sense of being pulled into a situation that you don't necessarily want to be at, but kind of because you have to, whether it's because you need money or it's just work or whatever, and then having to figure out what to do when you're there. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I really like when I get a very perverse sense of satisfaction seeing bad things happen to bad people. And so
John Wick syndrome.
Totally, man. Totally. Exactly. And so I wanted some of that too. I want people to cheer when maybe some carnage happens. And so that's that part of that is the seed as well.
Yeah. I've got that fake Buddhist in me. Like I read one book about it, and I'm like, oh no, you got to be better to people. You got to think positively, right thought, right. And then as soon as they killed that dog, it's like those fuckers got to die, all of them, and their friends, and all the people that they went to school with. Kill them all. I don't give a shit.
Brian K. Vaughan has a line from Saga that I really love and that I identify with, and that's I'm a pacifist, but fictional violence is exquisite. And so I love it. I don't fight in real life. I'm not about that shit. But I'll watch some dude get flayed on like Game of Thrones or whatever. Sign me up. I wonder what that says about me. I don't know.
There could be a catharsis to it. There could just be like we all have a little perversion, and we don't want to actually act that perversion out. But watching it doesn't make you a bad person.
Listen. He's not Homelander jerking off at the top of a fucking building,
That you know of.
Yeah.
True.
Don't put words in his mouth.
True.
Yeah. Well, let's pump the brakes there before we go assuming all over the place.
And Homelander plays into that Patrick Bateman thing, too, because there's a lot of people who think he's the good guy. A lot of people support that mentality, and you're like, holy shit, what's going on here?
Yeah, you're not supposed to root for him.
No.
I guess as long as there have been, stories about troubled people, there are always going to be like the people that identify with Travis Bickle or I don't know, fucking Rorschach. And people are like, oh yeah, that's so me. That's so relatable. And you're like, what is wrong with you, man?
You're really that lonely? Is anyone that lonely?
Yeah, hopefully not.
So, Nick, I'm reading through your Kickstarter. Congratulations on being fully funded, by the way.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much.
your reward names, the Grindhouse double feature. I fucking love that. Could you tell us about Gatorman Kills?
For sure. So yeah, Gatorman Kills. That was the first book that Scott and I worked on together. I wrote that. So Scott actually, we met at a comic convention in North Texas, and I hadn't, written any real comics yet or anything, and just got to talking with Scott, met him. He had set up at a booth. We just, very quickly clicked and stayed in contact after that convention. And I sent him some scripts I'd written, and he was like, "These are cool." And then he had this idea for because we both figured out that we were both horror geeks pretty immediately, and so he had an idea for this slasher character that he had created called Gatorman, and so we're just talking on the phone, and it kind of, I was like, yeah, I'll take a stab at the script, let's do it, let's figure it out. It just started as kind of a pandemic project because this was all happening during that first COVID summer 2020, so we nobody had anything else going on, so I just I wrote that script, and it turned into this graphic novel. It was really cool, and we ran a successful Kickstarter for that one in October 2021, and that was really great. That was my first time ever do anything like that, and that was awesome. And so that book, we're both horror geeks. We both love slashers and stuff, so we wanted to make something that was like a tribute to like 70s and 80s slasher movies. And so the quick pitch on that one is Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets Con Air. I like that. It's a fun book, man. It's really, really fun. And that's about a prison transport flight that crashes in a storm deep in the Florida Everglades. And there's a small group of survivors who survive the crash, and they're just looking for shelter, trying to lay low. They're also, technically escaped convicts, so they're like on the run pretty much. And they stumble upon this old manor that's like deep in the swamp, like just off the map, and they think they've just found like an old house to like crash in and rest up, but little do they know that house is home to a horrific serial killer who calls himself the Gator Man and is this big old jacked up redneck who wears an alligator skull on his head, and as the title implies, kills people, and terror ensues. And so we had a lot of fun with it. That was my first book, and Scott killed it on the art with that one. So that Grindhouse double feature tier, that if you were to get that, so both books, cover price is $20, $19.99, but if you opt into the Grindhouse double feature tier, you get both books for $30. So a little bit of a value saver there.
That's a deal.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like Resident Evil : Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm. So when we were talking about the initial idea for the story, I said he had this vision that the Gator Man was just going to be in kind of this little cabin sort of deal, and I had just seen the trailer for Resident Evil 7. And I was like, "Oh, dude, you know what we should do instead?" And I sent him the trailer, and I was like, "Have it be in this big house that people can run around in and hide in, and different rooms and all that." And he loved that trailer. And then we both played through Resident Evil 7 kind of at the same time, and we were just talking about because that game is crazy, man. That game was pretty wild.
It's kind of amazing. 6 games, and they're all very different as it went through. Clunky in the beginning, and then smoother, and by the time 6 comes around, it's just straight up action throughout most of those elements.
Call of Duty, Resident Evil
really was.
6,
and then
seriously,
to shift it to a first person perspective, and everyone was saying, "Oh, it's going to kill the series. It's done. It was already on its last leg, but this is going to put the final bullet in it." No, it was the rebirth of Resident Evil, so much so that when they did all these remakes and you go and make 4, it's perfectly fine to just, no, we're going to remake 4, not make it first person, because we know exactly what each of these games are. I got halfway through 7, and I just barely started 8, because I bought it for I got the PSVR 2, so I want to get into it. I want to do that immersion, but holy headaches.
7 was really good. 8, that one's the Resident Evil Village, right? Is the 8th one? Yeah,
werewolves and giant vampire.
Right. So that game was a lot of fun. Was a lot more action, went kind of back to like the RE5 and 6, almost was like more action focused, but still had that first person view. But there was a part in the middle of 5 that is this one specific level that was like the most terrifying video game experience that I've ever. It was like. It rattled me in a way that like a game like hasn't rattled me since like the first time I played Dead Space. It was crazy.
Dead Space.
5 is the only one of those I think I played. Well, I played 4 all the way through, but 5 was so great because I was living with a guy. We were simpatico on so many things. That thing came out and we played it like shoulder to shoulder the whole way through, and that's one of the few games that's affected my real life. I don't know about anybody else, but I never open a door and walk straight forward now. I open it and kind of go behind it a little bit, just in case a sociopath with an axe wants to come through.
Check those corners.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 was good because 5 had co-op, you know? And
huge important.
Were you and your buddy playing like co-op or like together?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the best, and games these days don't have that anymore. And
Yeah.
so it's, good times with 5.
What other games? Obviously, you're a gamer. What other styles are you into?
I like a decent amount of everything. So up in New York, I had to leave my Xbox back in Texas, but I brought my Switch. So I've been playing a fair amount of Mario Kart. And I just got this thing, actually. This is kind of crazy. I guess I'm going to just pitch this product right now. But so I got this thing. It's called an Ambernick. Have you guys ever heard of it?
Funny little story. Facebook was throwing those at me forever. I was like, you know what? Screw it. It's my birthday. I'm going to buy one. The folks I bought it from weren't exactly reputable. So it was really inexpensive. That one was probably like $100 or so. That like cost you a pretty penny.
No, I got this on Amazon. For $80.
Okay, so I think the one I got, I bought was like $40 or $50, and it was essentially the shell of a Game Boy, with although it wasn't an actual Game Boy. I think they took the mold, reconfigured it a little bit, and then threw 20 games in there that were Game Boy quality. Is it still at your house, Justin?
No.
I can't remember some of the names.
No. It started making weird noises, so we made sure it went in the trash because something bad was going to happen.
Yeah, they were tapping you.
Yeah.
I really want to get one of those. The thing's loaded with like a ton of games, right?
It's got like over 10,000 games apparently, but it's got all the Pokemon games. I've been playing through Metroid Fusion, the GBA game. Oh, it's so good, dude. A game kicks ass. I just beat Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. Which
good.
is just awesome. So I've been really having fun emulating these old like GBA games. That's been the gaming kick lately. But yeah, I mean, I love Mario Kart. I played a lot of Hades actually a lot lately. If you guys have played that game, it's so addicting. It's so good. The art is just insane. It's a really good game. Yeah. So a lot of Switch stuff and a lot of old GBA stuff.
I was super pissed when I didn't actually get a working version of that. I saw a Dreamcast. I saw like pretty much the entire Dreamcast library, and it took me back to the year 2000. I wanted all of that again, and I was completely crestfallen. And I've been gun shy on it for like a year and a half now.
Check it out on Amazon, and I know we got to do that and support our evil cyber overlord Bezos, but the man ships a good game emulator, man. He does. I did. I played some Dreamcast stuff. They've got the original Spider-Man game from Dreamcast, and then Soul Calibur, which is just so sick.
Power Stone. I don't know if you ever played that back in the day.
Oh yeah, dude.
Power Stone is great.
I gotta check and see if that's on here. Hell yeah.
Such an underrated system. We don't have much time left, do we, guys?
We got about 5-6.
Okay. Well, I did want to ask. I'm assuming that you grew up in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, having spent your whole life in Texas and being a year in New York as a writer, and the idea of writing what you know, have your experiences over the last year kind of changed your perspective on the types of things that you're writing, or maybe given you like fresh ideas for future things to write about?
I mean, New York is awesome, and I really love it here. I think it's the best city in the world, and it's just that I don't know if it's necessarily changed my ideas and changed what I write about as much as it's just like there is an energy to the city, and it definitely, I feel like it just feeds me in a way that I haven't always felt from places I've been staying, because I've been all over the country, and so there is just sort of an aliveness to being in New York that is really cool creatively. So I really appreciate the city for that.
And even more important, New York question: pizza. Yeah, being from Texas, I'd imagine pizza wasn't a huge part of your life, but in the Northeast, pizza is it's 4 days a week for me. So,
well, there's this awesome pizza place that is just like catty corner from my apartment that I go to like all the time. Pizza was a pretty big part of my life, but it was usually like Domino's, and which is good. No shade on Domino's.
The first 4 years of this show was built on PBR and Domino's. So
yeah,
it was so gassy.
Meal of Champions right there.
That's
man.
it.
Yeah.
What section of New York are you in?
I'm in Hell's Kitchen, Manhattan.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Watch out for that Fisk guy.
Yeah. You see Daredevil doing like front flips off the roof sometime. It's pretty cool.
So, Stilletos with the last S. Put on the last S for savings. Gatorman Kills. Do you guys have anything else in the pipeline, or are you just focusing on this for now?
So, right now, kind of nose to the grindstone for this campaign. It's running until the end of the month, until July 1st. But we do, I met another really awesome artist, a guy named Dave Schuler. I was moving through Philadelphia a couple years ago, and met him at an arts and crafts festival outside of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And he had some of his art set up, so I just started talking to him, and he was drawing like a lot of like monsters and like demon type figures, and it just like looked really cool. And so I asked him if he wanted to do a comic, and he was on board. And so I wrote this script for him that basically is it's called The Apostasy, and it's basically the quick pitch on that one is Lone Wolf and Cub set in hell, and it's like demons and journey with this little this odd couple through a demonic hellscape and everything like that, and it looks great, and hoping to we're a little over halfway through the art on that. Dave's a little over halfway through the art on that, but hope to have some little more concrete maybe around the end of the year, maybe, but that's still up in the air. But it's cool to meet and work with more artists. But that's the next one. But really, honestly, for the past few weeks, all I've been able to think about is Stilletos and our Kickstarter campaign.
It's a smart focus. You seem to have the same kind of impetus we have, where it's amalgamating. Like, I love this story, but man, I'd love to spin it this, that, this, and the other way.
Yeah.
And that's like they say, every story's been done. So it's almost like just take the ones you love and find your path with it. Got to respect that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sincerest form of flattery is imitation, right? Mm-hmm. First of all, and I think, people have been telling stories for millennia, so it's just it's building blocks, and you can take it, rearrange it, and make your own thing, while being, keeping some flavor of what came before.
Yeah. Put your thumbprint, fingerprint, touch it all over.
Yeah.
Touch it up, touch it down.
Like, get its consent first, though.
For sure.
Look in its eyes, see if it wants it.
Yeah.
If it's got hungry eyes, then,
So you want to lay out your socials for everybody, or just leave it at Kickstarter?
Totally. No, you can follow us, our brand. We are Unearthly Comics. So our website is www.unearthlycomics.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, although we never tweet anymore. Actually, you know what? Don't go on Twitter. Just don't do that, because it's
another overlord.
Yeah. No, we're good on Twitter. So follow us on Instagram at Unearthly Comics, all one word, all lowercase. We post there pretty regularly. We've been posting out the ass about the Kickstarter on Instagram. So follow us there.
All right, sweet. Stilettos, Gatorman Kills.
Yes,
check them out, folks. Yes, I got the S on there. My memory's not completely shot. All right. I hope everybody goes and checks those out. The artwork I saw looked really tight, really moves, a lot of energy. Well, I only saw the Stilettos stuff. I'm going to check out the Gatorman Kill stuff later because I love me some good horror. But yeah, it's great talking to you. Hope we can move some units for you if we can talk business speak.
Yeah.
Help getting those goals moving along. How much time is left on the?
It's going until the end of the month. Campaign ends on July 1st. And yeah, we hit our goal about a week ago, which is awesome. We are just so thankful for all the support from our backers and everybody that's helping promote the book. But yeah, because we hit our goal, we do have to make the book. There's no escape. We can't get out of this now. So so it's coming. Whether we like it or not. So get excited for that. But no, this has been really fun, guys. So thanks for having me. Y'all have been super cool.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, we don't usually end our interview shows the same way as our normal spiel. Thank you. Thanks for listening. And the standard nerdies ending. Fuck bye.
Fuck bye.
That's one from the old days for us. So if you want everyone else to sign off, you can give your first fuck bye as well.
Fuck bye.
Fuck bye.
Fuck bye. Fuck bye, listeners. Fuck bye, viewers. Just fucking A.
Because of the end of civilization, the Clamp Cable Network now leaves the air. We hope you have enjoyed our programming, but more importantly, we hope you have enjoyed life.